have a new addition to the women's flyweight division. I'm not talking about Maria Agapova, who had a great debut against Hannah Cyphers at 125. I'm talking about Miranda Maverick, Fear the, great nickname, taking on Mara Romero Barella. It's a name that Matt struggles with, so I'm going to take it from here on out. Mara Romero Barella on a 3-fight skid. We're talking Lauren Murphy, Montana De La Rosa, and Courtney Casey in her last one, where she got submitted quite quickly in the first round, versus Miranda Maverick, who's quietly strung together a really tidy win streak over in Invicta. She looked great on the Phoenix Series Rising, one of the latest tournaments. One of the wins there over Shanna Young, who we've seen recently in the UFC, coming up on short notice, taking on Macy Chiasson. But in her last fight, really telling. She took out, I would say, an up-and-coming, but you recognize the name in Pearl Gonzalez, who was, winning fights left and right since she left the UFC, going back to Invicta. So Miranda Maverick kind of looking like the future. I'm sure there's going to be some comparisons, the likes of Agapova, maybe even a Macy Barber thrown in there. But it's great to see such a young fighter getting a chance here at 22 years old, taking on a fighter who has a lot more experience in Mara Romero Barella. What do you make of this fight? Because, like I said, I mean, Maverick's coming in on a head of steam. Is it too early to get a fight like this in the UFC? And what do you make of this one overall?
Is it too early for a woman who's done really, really well in Invicta to come into the UFC and fight someone on a 3-fight losing streak? I don't think it is. I think it's actually really smart matchmaking. Especially, this whole card is kind of like a showcase for Invicta. Just like, hey, they have good fighters over there, too. And I turn into Brendan Shaw when I just try to say Mara Romero Barella. I think I did it. But Miranda Maverick just does kind of everything a little bit better. I thought that Romero Barella had a decent ground game before that Courtney Casey fight, but Courtney Casey went out there and submitted her, and Courtney Casey, who's not a bad grappler by any means, but we just saw her get submitted. And I know, MMA math doesn't always work like that, but Romero Barella just wasn't great defensively in that fight. It wasn't, just Courtney Casey lost by submission in the next one, so she has to be a bad grappler. Just she did a lot of fundamental defensive things wrong on the ground, and that's what really worries me against someone who's as big and as strong as Miranda Maverick coming into this division. She is a good wrestler. She is a good striker, and I do think that her wrestling will actually kind of be the key to this fight, because Romero Barella is too comfortable off of her back. I don't know why this is such a big problem in MMA. I never noticed it, and then I started to actually think about it, and I'm like, hey, how about we try getting back up to our feet?
It's not that easy. It's never
I know
that
it's
easy.
not that easy, but you know what else isn't easy? Just laying on your back, getting hit in the head. At least try to get up to your feet. I think Romero Barella is going to have that problem. She's going to get taken down multiple times. I don't think she has the strength to be able to get back up to her feet, and even if they are on the feet, Romero Barella's best strike. She has good front kick. She does stay long and have a decent jab. And she uses the reach better than Stefan Struve, for instance. But Miranda Maverick has really good power shots. She's really strong, as I mentioned before. I think she'll be able to grind it a hard-fought decision, but I do think this is the perfect fight for her entry into the UFC.
Matt, you kind of just took us from Finland to South Africa to South Korea to Vietnam and then back over to Canada, because you've been all over the map with that analysis there. So that was ridiculous. If we look at Mara Romero Barella, the telling key for me is the fight against Montana De La Rosa, because she had De La Rosa in some really, really terrible spots. If you're Montana De La Rosa or Mark De La Rosa on the sidelines, she almost had her in a twister, and then just like that, it was gone. Like, Mara Romero Barella is a decent grappler. It's kind of like the Marion Renault effect, where she's good at it, but bringing it all together in MMA lately just hasn't been there. And Miranda Maverick, again, such a force. I really, really think that in the majority of the aspects of MMA, Miranda Maverick, outweighs or I would favor. I'm really searching. Yeah, I really favor Miranda Maverick in this fight. If we look over at the odds, it's kind of a surprise, because somebody coming into the UFC, you don't normally see them as being such a big favorite. Miranda Maverick minus 300, Mara Romero Barella coming back at a plus 235 or so. Over on Tapology, 646 votes. Again, the large majority, 86% going with Miranda Maverick. Fear thee, Miranda Maverick. And 59% predicting a decision. A lot of people peppering in the old knockout and submission. What do you think of this one? I mean, Miranda Maverick, again, for being 22 years old, 9 professional fights, 8 amateur fights, that's a lot of experience for somebody who's this young.
I think it will be an interesting fight. I think Romero Barella might be Pearl Gonzalez's next opponent. Just coming off 4 losses, I think she's going to lose this one. I just do. She hasn't shown a lot of growth throughout her UFC career, at least. That's been the really big issue, because she came in and she was doing quite well. You saw a lot of promise in her skill set. It just never really developed as she continued to get fights. And I think her kind of having this just stagnant performances as of late is really going to come back to bite her. I favor Miranda Maverick so much in this fight. I think she'll be able to get it done.
Both going with Miranda Maverick in this one. You're not going to want to miss the rest of the predictions for the card. An extended look at our main event between Dan Hooker and a really tough out in Dustin Poirier. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, Matt, as we always say. Let's get into it.